Hey everybody, Tekking and Barry back again. I myself have just returned from Tekko this year. It was a fabulous convention. We did the first ever Tekking 101 One Piece trivia extravaganza, whatever I'm calling it. It was a fantastic turnout for that, so thanks to every single person that attended that game show. There were a few hiccups. I did film it though. It will be up on the channel later this week. I got to get all that edited and make it look nice. But yeah, I'll talk more about that there. But just wanted to thank everybody that came out for that and all my friends that helped me with it, because that was kind of chaotic, but it was a lot of fun, and I hope to continue it next year. All right, so last chapter of One Piece, though. The last panel of the last chapter of One Piece, though, drawing a little bit of attention here. So Vegapunk's message concludes with essentially, everybody's gotta find the One Piece now. You know, this is gonna go down right next to Roger and Whitebeard's, like, speeches before their deaths, okay? You know, in the case with Roger and Whitebeard, it was, like, the last thing they said before they died. In the case with Vegapunk, it was the last thing he said after he died, because he's Vegapunk, so he made a kill switch message, okay? So, the whole idea is Roger started the Great Pirate Era. You want my treasure, mateys? Well, you'll just have to find it! Yarg, I be king of the pirates. And then he dies, right? And then with Whitebeard, he basically just, because, you know, it was 22 years after Roger had died at this point, the One Piece was starting to kind of fade into legend because no one had found it in over 2 decades. So a lot of people, by the time the story started, I mean, the One Piece was like, yeah, I mean, it's out there, right? Roger said it was out there, yeah, but it's been 22 years now. I mean, I don't know, but, you know, Whitebeard, the man that seemed to be, like, the closest to finding the One Piece, the strongest man in the world, said, the One Piece is real! So, like, vindicated its existence. Like, it was confirmed by Whitebeard. Whitebeard said it. He knew Roger personally. They fought, and they exchanged sake cups together. If Whitebeard is saying it's real, then it's real, okay? Are you gonna doubt Whitebeard? I thought not, right? And so that kind of reignited the Great Pirate Era, and now here we are 2 years after that, where Vegapunk is now saying, he's laying down the gauntlet, he's saying whoever's gonna find the One Piece literally has the fate of the entire world in their hands. So, I mean, that kind of, well, I mean, a hint at what the One Piece is itself might have just been revealed there, because that's, like, a big deal. I'm starting to question, like, is it just, like, one object that can make somebody, like, really, really rich, or is it some kind of power now? You know, something that you have akin to, like, a genie's wish, or something that can alter reality or something, right? A discussion for another day. I have a topic that I want to cover in this video. We'll debate that on another day, right? It doesn't matter exactly what the One Piece is. Suffice to say, whoever finds it has carte blanche to do whatever they want with the world. Maybe that's through mystical, magical powers. Maybe it's not through that, but, like, you have the title of Pirate King, and through that, your influence can change the world. Whichever, however you want to look at it, whoever gets the One Piece can change the world, either for better or for worse, okay? And in the very last page, double page spread, Oda drew 12 characters. Now, does this mean these are, like, one of these 12 characters is gonna find the One Piece? Or these are the top 12 contenders to find the One Piece? Or just some characters that Oda considered, and there's more of them. Hey, look, even if you want to say that, like, oh, well, there's other people that might find the One Piece that weren't on that double-page spread, right? That might have a part to play in all this. Whatever, you want to look at it there. Oda drew these 12. And some of them make perfect sense. Like, the 4 emperors are on there, right? The Yonko. So you got Luffy, Shanks, Blackbeard, and Buggy. That makes perfect sense why they would be there. They're the 4 strongest pirates, of the 4 most well-known pirates in the entire world. So it's like, okay, sure, that makes sense for them. You have a Kainu, all right, a Sakazuki, the fleet admiral of the entire Marine, so he kind of represents the Marines in general. The whole military arm of the government is under his control. But then you also have Koby, who is a Marine as well, but a very different kind of Marine than Sakazuki. There are a different set of morals on Koby. And he's also a member of Sword, which is like in the Marines, but outside of the Marines. You have Dragon and Sabo representing the Revolutionary Army. That's kind of a big deal that he included Dragon and Sabo as like separate characters there. Also, I want to bring something up. It was a double-page spread. Oda could have included more than 12 characters if he wanted to. Like, there was no reason 12 had to be a fixed number, right? Like, Oda could have included 14 characters on that list. Or, you know, even more than that, honestly. He could have drew in more people, tinier panels. He could have done whatever. He chose those 12. We had Dragon and Sabo. We had Kuzan, which I think might be the most surprising one on that list that we already knew about. Of course, there's the mysterious character, Shanks' hot sister. Oh, God. Sorry, I just got back from the convention. Maybe I caught something. I don't know. Oh, man, what was that? I don't know. Shanks' hot sister. Oh, my God. Jeez, what's going on here? We have that character, right? So we're going to talk about that person actually at the very end. We also have Garling, you know, who we don't know that much about, but we saw the flashback with God Valley. Garling is not a good person. He's the one that's like the head of the Gods Knights, and he executed Mule's Guard, so not fantastic. And then Eam, who is the leader of the world government. Obviously, Eam is going to be a contender there. So, yeah, let's just go through all 12 of them real quick, and then just, you know, what would happen if they had the reins to do whatever they wanted with the world? Okay, starting off with Luffy, because he's the obvious one. Ultimately, Luffy will become the king of the pirates. He will find the One Piece, and this is all going to go back to Luffy's dream. And Luffy can be a bit selfish at times, you know what I mean? But I'm certain that the world that Luffy seeks, like, and even looking at it in that context is not great, because even if Luffy was told, like, he got to Laugh Tale and he got the One Piece, and somebody told him, like, you can now do whatever you want with the world, Luffy would probably say something ridiculous like, I want the world to be turned to meat that I will then consume. All of us can consume, you know, like something like that. Like, Luffy's gonna say something ridiculous. But if you want to go with the idea of, like, Luffy's dream is something like, I want a giant party, you know, everybody can dance and eat food and just have a great time, you know, and like, if that's what it is, that will be revealed, you know, once Luffy becomes king of the pirates. We'll find out what his dream is. I think we'll find out about it after the fact. You know, One Piece first, then Luffy's dream achieved, okay? But yeah, certainly I don't think the world will be worse off if Luffy finds the One Piece. Although, might not be the most optimal way, because Luffy, at the end of the day, remember, he is a pirate, and he has said before on multiple occasions, I don't want to be a hero, I am a pirate. Okay? So just being a pirate in and of itself kind of lends it to, yes, he has his friends and his nakama, his family, but, you know, whatever dream he has, you know, it might not be the most, you know, efficient way to make the world a better place. And also, Luffy is a relatively simple guy, which might actually help him here. You know, instead of, like, Eam or somebody or Sakazuki getting the reins, Luffy's, you know, very straightforward nature might just be like, okay, you know what you're getting with Luffy, kind of a thing. It's just like, this is what I want. I'm like, everybody to throw a party. I'm like, all right, everybody throws a party. Let's look at it this way. Let's assume whatever the One Piece is, it grants you a wish. Okay, I mean, like, it's not probably that, but kind of what Vegapunk was sort of saying. You have the ability to control the world. So let's just say you find the One Piece, you're given one wish. With, like, any reign of power that you can do, what would you do with it? Luffy would pick something, like, really quick, really straightforward. He probably wouldn't even think about it, and that's what that would be, right? Let's say Shanks finds it. Now, this is assuming, like, Luffy's not going to find the One Piece. Like, assuming, like, Luffy dies. Because I feel like Shanks ultimately wants Luffy to find the One Piece. Like, I feel like Shanks might be not conflicted with this, but it's like, yeah, you know, Luffy is the one I gave the straw hat to. I kind of want to see him succeed. You know, I want to see Luffy be the one to find the One Piece. I mean, Shanks might be like, all right, I'm going to look for it too. You know, I have a little bit of an unfair advantage because I was on Roger's crew. Yes, I know Shanks and Buggy do not go to Laugh Tale, but Roger said something to him after, and Shanks and Buggy should have a general idea where Laugh Tale is, just based on, like, yeah, they stayed on that one town where, you know, when Buggy got sick, and then I was like, all right, we're leaving, and then Roger and the crew left, and they were gone to go to Laugh Tale for X number of days, and then they came back. So that should give you a general idea of like where in the ocean it was, how long they were gone, where did Buggy and Shanks stay in relative positioning to where everyone else was. Like, he should have a general idea, better than most, on where the One Piece is, right? I think Shanks is just more interested, though, in having a really rollicking good time and adventure and getting drunk along the way. And if it comes down to it, maybe a Davy back fight between the Straw Hats and the red-haired pirates to see who gets the One Piece. Like, I could see that. But if Shanks, let's say, has to find the One Piece, like Luffy and the crew get wiped out and it has to be Shanks, it's like, all right, Luffy died, that sucks, I gotta find it now, right? What world would he make, okay? Shanks and Luffy are very similar, but also Shanks is a lot older. He's been around the block a little bit more than Luffy. He's not as straightforward as Luffy is. He certainly can be a little bit childish like Luffy, but I think more than that, he's more serious with things. And I feel like whatever world that Shanks got, it wouldn't be pirate paradise like Blackbeard or Kaido wanted, but it would be maybe more on that side of like bringing down the government, bringing down the Marines, and I don't want to say just everybody hangs out and gets drunk, because I feel like Shanks would come up with something a little bit more complicated than that. I don't think Shanks would be like, let's just have a great party where everybody gets wasted, you know? Yeah, Shanks does party a lot, but he can also be very smart with the way he lays out plans and things, and so I don't think that's what he would pick. I think it would be something else, but it wouldn't make the world necessarily a worse place, but it would be maybe pointing a little bit more towards, like, the pirate anarchy that Blackbeard wanted, just not all of the way, okay? I'm not really sure exactly, you know? It doesn't help much that Shanks is not in this story that much. I mean, he's been in the story more recently. He's been doing things, but for a good solid chunk of the series, you know, we only see Shanks every now and then, and that's even spawned a lot of theories that, like, you know, Shanks might be evil, you know, or he might be more devious than he's letting on, you know? And I don't think Shanks is evil necessarily, but some of the stuff he does and, you know, the way he looks sometimes, it's just like, yeah, he has another side of himself that's not just the childish, like, hey, guys, let's get drunk, it's fun! And then after we're done drinking, let's drink some more! You know, like, that's part of his personality, but there's more to Shanks, right? Okay. Blackbeard getting the One Piece, that is more obvious. It's basically going to be the Hachinosu model all over the world, like burn down Marie-Joie, the Tenryubito, the world government, all of that collapses, the Marines are wiped out, and it's just piracy everywhere, all the time, you know, 24/7. In fact, they invent another day of the week, and it's 24/8. In fact, they add more hours into the day, just so there can be more pirate time, okay? It's a complete, like, might makes right sort of environment where, you know, if you're weak, then you die, or you have to serve, and that's it. If you're strong, you get to be rulers. I can see a bunch of different pirate kingdoms popping up all over the world, with Hachinosu being the centerpiece. In fact, since Avala Pizarro has the island fruit, if Blackbeard truly took over, I can imagine Avala Pizarro, like, going around gwomping more islands, getting bigger and bigger, so that Hachinosu eventually becomes, like, pirate, you know, headquarters, this massive island, if not continent, all over the entire world. And there's other pirate kingdoms everywhere, and that's all connected at Hachinosu. You're just like, where that's the big pirate island. You know, I could kind of see that, which is rather interesting in terms of, like, a world, like Pirate World or something like that. That would be a cool sequel manga. If Blackbeard wins, this is what it looks like, right? And Blackbeard rules as, like, the supreme king of piracy. And then he dies, and then it kicks off, like, a whole other adventure, like, 500 years later, it's still a pirate-ruled world, and Blackbeard is viewed as, like, the George Washington of this new pirate world. He started it all! You know, it's like, that's that sort of thing, right? Okay, which is an interesting world to live in. You could write some light novels about that. Like, there's some material there, definitely. But definitely, you know, in the terms of the scale of the way the world is, yes, the world government and the Tenryubito are certainly corrupted, but I don't think Blackbeard's solution is the correct solution to this problem, right? So Buggy, you know what? Like, Buggy's been through so much. He's been through so much crap to get to where he is now. If Buggy was given the reins, if he was like, Buggy, you found the One Piece, you get one wish, what is it? I think Buggy's wish is just he makes a world where everybody just looks at him as the supreme god emperor and everybody loves him. It's a very ego trip, god complex kind of like end goal. But ultimately at the same time, like, all right, do I trust Eam, the Gorosei, and the Tenryubito to rule the world? Or do I trust Buggy the Clown to rule the world and just satisfy his ego? I kind of want to go with Buggy on this one. I kind of want to go with Buggy on that one, honestly. Like, because I don't think Buggy is going to be as corrupt as the Tenryubito are. Honestly, I can see Buggy getting rid of slavery. In fact, the whole idea with like putting the bounties on the pirates, not on the pirates, putting the bounties on the Marines was to get the regular civilians of the world to kind of get on their side. And so Buggy is kind of helping out the common man a little bit with that. I mean, that old man that turned in T-Bone was kind of scared about everything, but Buggy was just kind of like, you did it. You killed a Marine. Good job, old man. We always have a place for you here at the Cross Guild. And he's like, okay. I didn't want to do it though. It's just like, whatever, you'll fit right in, So that's Buggy's world. Buggy has a massive, like a ridiculously large castle. It's like 10 castles stacked on top of each other. Okay, Buggy's castle goes all the way to the White Sea at the very top, and he just lays about all day. Very hedonistic kind of lifestyle, just eating grapes. Shanks is like his cupbearer or something. Like, yes, Shanks, bring me some more wine. And just like, yes, Buggy, you're so amazing. What is my name now? Supreme God Emperor Captain Lord Buggy, yes. You can just call me Supreme Emperor God Buggy. Thank you, Shanks. You're so much better than me, Buggy. Yes, I always have been. Like, I feel like that's Buggy's fantasy, really. That's the way he would do it. But I think ultimately a little better than what was happening right now with Eam and everything. I would go with God Emperor Buggy. Let's go. Why not? All right. Akainu. So what happens if the Marines take over? Specifically the Marines under Sakazuki. Okay. Things are gonna get a lot more authoritarian, all right? Like, if Akainu, because remember, like, when Akainu became the fleet admiral, he was kind of like, all right, time to knock this shit into shape, you know what I mean? I'm taking out the pirates, I'm doing it my way. And then he quickly found out that he can't because the Gorosei are ultimately the ones that make decisions. And so, just like Sengoku before him, Sakazuki found out pretty quick that he doesn't really have as much control. Being Fleet Admiral, fancy title, doesn't give you as much power as you think it would on the surface, right? So he kind of found that out. So if the Gorosei weren't in the picture and Sakazuki I could just do whatever I want, I can mobilize the Marines however I want, I could do whatever recruitment process I want, I can be as iron-fisted with the pirates as much as I want. Like, okay, piracy's gonna be gone. It's gonna be wiped out, and it's gonna be wiped out severely. Anybody that even raises or even thinks about raising a Jolly Roger is going to get arrested or killed, because Akainu's not going to mess with that, right? And of course, the ultimate, the thing here that's going to loop back around is eventually, once Sakazuki annihilates all piracy in the world, people are going to start looking at them. The Marines are basically going to be pirates at that point, because the level of cruelty you would have to, and pressure and military might that you would have to exert on the world to stamp out piracy, the Marines would essentially have to become pirates themselves, and the level of like death and murder that would incur. You know what I mean? Like, is like, there's some pirates over there. What are their bounties? Oh, they're an up-and-coming pirate crew. They only have like 600,000 bounties. Burn their ship to the ground until none of them remain. It's like, all right, damn, we'll do that, but seems a little bit excessive, right? So, like that's what I could see this like 20, 30 years down the line. Sakazuki's an old man. He's this grizzled, like, 80-year-old Marine. And I could see even the Marines' outfits have become, like, way more, like, it's still mostly a white uniform, but it's, like, the way it's changed around is just kind of very foreboding and intimidating whenever they walk around. Maybe they have, like, freaky helmets with, like, horns on them or something like that. Like, we are Marines! We are justice! We enforce justice in the world! All those that commit crimes will pay! You know, like, it might keep escalating and escalating to the point where, like, Akainu wipes out all the major pirate crews, and then he starts attacking all the mid-range pirates, and then all the lower-level pirates and bandits, and then after that, pretty soon it might get to a point where, like, if you steal a pear at the local market, like, that could be, you know, punishable by death or something. You know what I mean? Like, if it goes to the extreme end with it. Remember what Kuzan said back at Ohara? Absolute justice messes with people. Like, the kind of thorough absolute justice that Akainu exhibits, if left unchecked and it can just keep going and going and going and going, that leads a man down to some dark places, okay? And I could see that happening with Akainu, whereas at the end of his life, you know, he's in his 90s or something, and he's just this, like, kind of hateful man that, like, thinks that he's like, well, we wiped out the pirates, but there's still evil in the world. Stamp it out at its core! And then he dies, and then, like, that's the world he leaves behind. You know, I think it would be a little bit intimidating there. I don't think he's as bad like that right now, but if left unchecked, it could get worse. You know what I mean? Now, on the opposite end of that, we have Koby and Kuzan. I'll talk about Koby first, okay? Koby being like a golden retriever, you know, basically. He's like a young Marine that's like all about the virtue of justice, right? Like, you know, I feel like most Marines were like that when they first joined before they got all jaded by the system, right? Well, if Koby found the One Piece, his version of the Marines very different from Akainu's, okay? And I can't think of anybody better to well, aside from perhaps Kuzan, to lead the Marines than Koby or Kuzan, all right? But I would say Kuzan's even pretty jaded of the system. It's probably best to give it to Koby. Now, he is young, but he might, you know, have some advisors, like you could have Smoker there and some other good Marines like Momonga or some Fujitora, another good example there, to kind of like, you know, he can learn from and take examples of. You know, he would be like the emperor that ascends to the throne at, like, you know, when they're a teenager, and so they don't know about much what they're doing, but with the right advisors and, you know, smart enough tactics, you could rule for a very, very long time, for decades to come, and become a wise ruler along the way, okay? So, whereas Akainu would just keep steering the Marines down this very dogmatic path, see what I did there? It was a pun. Koby would shift it back to what the Marines should be at their core. And in fact, it might have been what the Marines were at the very beginning, or maybe not, because the government kind of always controlled the Marines, and the government was kind of always corrupt with the Tenryubito and the Gorosei at the very top, especially if they were there ever since the Void Century. Eam was always calling the shots, so they were kind of never a pure organization, right? But Koby would change it. He would implement a lot of different reforms in the Marines, especially the kind of shit that, like, happened at Sphinx, when, like, that one dude that looked like a rat, like, attacked Sphinx Island. It was like holding a gun at, like, a little old lady's head, like, where's Whitebeard's treasure, old lady? We're the Marines. We're here for justice. You know, all of that shit would be gone if Koby was the one that ruled the Marines, okay? And, yes, he would fight pirates, but Koby would know where to pull his punches. He would know, like, okay, these pirates are, like, murdering and pillaging and burning entire islands down. We need to go after them. All right, these are pirates that are more of like adventurers that are just seeking to explore the world. I feel like he would be more lenient with them. You know what I mean? Like, that would be Koby. But he has a lot to learn, okay? Now, Kuzan. Dude, I'm very interested on why Oda included Kuzan there, okay? Because he's like, the whole thing with the Marines, I think, left a sour taste in his mouth. And now he's kind of doing the same thing, you know, because he's like, you know, I didn't like being part of the Marines. They bossed me around. I didn't get to be myself. And then he joined Blackbeard's crew. Well, in a certain way, the way that Blackbeard presented it, sure, it sounded like a nice opportunity. Like, hey, man, we don't all have the exact same goals. We all joined the Blackbeard crew for different reasons. These scallywags all joined me together for their different reasons, but we all have, come together and we can get it done. That's how we can achieve our dreams, and you could be the same way. But then Blackbeard's crew also, like, kidnaps people, like civilians and stuff, and uses them as slaves, and Kuzan was apparently okay with this enough to, like, defend the island when Garp and everybody were showing up and Koby escaped with the kidnapped civilians. Kuzan was like, well, I gotta stop this rescue operation. And it's like, dude, Kuzan. So I think he might reach a point where it's like, wait a minute, the Marines and the Blackbeard crew, they're doing the same thing. I fell for this again. Honestly, I can see Kuzan just traveling the world and doing his own thing with his giant penguin companion camel, right? Like, I'm trying to think, because I think Kuzan is on a journey of self-discovery right now. I don't think he selected the right path, but from his perspective, it's like, all right, well, I was a Marine for a while, and I had a very myopic view of the world. Now I'm seeing it from the lens of a pirate. And he might not like that too much, and so he might change that to the lens of a revolutionary or the lens of a normal civilian, Like, he's seeing all these different perspectives in the world, and he hasn't really made a choice, I think. And for that reason, because he doesn't even really know the kind of person he is right now, what world would he make? I don't think it would be as bad as the government, not nearly as bad as that. It wouldn't be as dogmatic as the world Sakazuki would make, but it wouldn't be as fun as the way that Luffy would have made it. Let's say that with Luffy. Luffy would make a fun world, which isn't necessarily a great world. It's just fun, It's like if you asked a little kid, like, hey, you could control the world, what would you do? Oh, amusement parks everywhere and candy. And it's like, okay, amusement parks everywhere and candy. Oh, how about water treatment facilities? No, that's boring. It would be a problem. If it's fun doesn't mean effective, okay, right? So, yeah, in the case of Kuzan, I'd say he's a wild card here, man. Yeah, from what we've seen so far, it's easier to say the kind of world he would not make, okay? But we just haven't narrowed it down quite yet, okay? If anything, maybe, it would be a reform of the Marines. He does end up going back to the Marines and reforming it, but because of the experience he's had, it would be quicker than Koby would and not as extreme as Sakazuki. So that's where I'm going to settle on it right now, is what he would do. Maybe reform the Marines. How about that? Then we have Dragon and Sabo. All right, so I think out of those 12 characters, the one that's probably going to be the best for the world at large would be Dragon. And I know that's rich, considering that Dragon hasn't really done much but then just be the master of ellipses for the entire story. So many ellipses. That'll be Dragon's ultimate technique. He turns into a giant wind dragon and it opens its mouth, and you think it's going to do something really cool, like shoot a giant tornado laser beam or something, and it's just ... end of chapter, 3-week break. So, Dragon, though, has been working in this revolution for decades. His ultimate goal is to tear down the the God's Knights, the Gorosei, and Eam, now that he knows about Eam's existence, and reform the world and make it good for the civilians and like the working class kind of person. That's the kind of ultimate aim Dragon has. And he knows a lot more, I'd say, about like how economics work and stuff like that, right? And that's what the Revolutionary Army is aiming towards. Establish a new ruling body. Keep the world government, keep the Marines, but, set up a new ruling power that it's actually more fair and balanced and stuff like that, right? And so he's been working at this long enough that I think Dragon probably already has a plan mapped out. I don't really see Dragon not being like, all right, we'll tear down the Tenryubito system. Hey, we did that. Okay. Now what? Well, shit, I didn't really think that far ahead. No, Dragon has a plan. He has something somewhere where he's like, okay, after we succeed and we don't all die and I'm actually still alive at the end of this, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to set up a new world government, all right? This is the plan. I'm sure he's already got that, okay? Now, Sabo, though, he's a younger, fresher face in all of this, and he's the Flame Emperor. And it's even been stated that even he is kind of more popular than Dragon right now, okay? Because Sabo's kind of like, he took the torch from Ace, so like passing the torch, but also he's the flame of a new generation, as it were. He's the Flame Emperor. People are calling out his name as a rallying cry in those revolutions all over the world. So, you know, I can honestly even say, like, if they succeed, Dragon basically hands it off to Sabo. Dragon is like, you know, my job here is done. You know, I started the freedom fighters. I started the revolution. I fought the good fight for like 3 decades to get us to this point. But I am not the one that is ultimately going to rule. I am not the one that is going to be the face for these people. It is going to be you, Sabo. You are the one, my chief of staff. You are going to be the one to stand and inspire and create a new, better world, okay? So maybe he passes that off to Sabo. Dragon stays and is as an advisor, but Sabo is the one that kind of like, all right, I'll make a new ruling council in place of the Gorosei, and this is how we're going to do it, and this is how we're going to run the world government. Keep in mind, I mean, Sabo was a royal, so he had he was a noble back at the Goa Kingdom, so he's had experience with this, and, you know, ever since he was a little kid on how to rule, and then when he became a revolutionary, they taught him stuff about this too. Sabo's the chief of staff. He's the second in command, so he probably knows about Dragon's ultimate plan as well to, like, rule the world government or how to change everything. Like, he's probably in on that as well, alongside, like, Ivankov and the rest of the commanders I aware. They would be aware of Dragon's ultimate goal, right? So, yeah, but I think Dragon and Sabo, very similar goals. It's just that, Sabo's more of a fan of the people, like, love Sabo more now than Dragon, or it's like swaying there just because Dragon's been at it for so many decades, right? And Sabo's the one that, like, you know, saved a lot of people, right? Then we have Eam. Now, you might say if Eam finds the One Piece, Eam, it just stays the same as the way it is now. I think it's going to get worse because Vegapunk specifically mentioned, hey, there's this big war, but the war's not over. It's still going on. Because I bet from Eam's perspective, that damn D clan is still out there. It's not until all of the Will of D members are dead. It's not until Joy Boy's will is extinguished. It's not until all of the poneglyphs are shot into space or that, like, all of the poneglyphs are, like, safe in Marijois, like, you know, vault, is when Eam will rest easy and can actually say, the war is over, I have won. You know, and I think at that point, the world's going to get a lot darker and a lot worse off. Not in the same way that Sakazuki would do it, more of, like, medieval fantasy demon lord kind of stuff. I'm talking evil castles on top of mountains and like orc armies and yokai armies and stuff like that might be more of what Eam is really up to here. Eam is like, cool, I don't have to worry about hiding away in a castle anymore. I can just take the reins as the demon lord of the demon king of the One Piece world. Bow before me, humans. Whoa! And then there's a party of people that will one day vanquish him, but that's a story for another day. I'm watching Frieren Beyond Journey's End right now. Fantastic anime. Really liking it so far. Very wholesome. It's just a chill anime, you know? It's something you could just put on in the background, eat some popcorn, and be like, this is nice. This is cozy. Have some hot chocolate while I watch Frieren. Okay, but anyway, yeah. Eam's world, I think, gets worse. Okay, gets Sauron. He could become Sauron with it. Yeah, that's where that's going, okay? So, Garling, we don't know a lot about him. All right, he's a member of the Figarland family, probably Shanks' dad, probably a dad to another character as well, and we know from the God Valley incident, obviously does not care about the regular civilians in the One Piece world, you know, treated them as just points in the tournament, killing a bunch of people, doesn't give a shit, all right? So, standard Tenryubito behavior, you know, standard dickish behavior as a Tenryubito does. So, yeah, except now he's, like, gotten older, and so now he's even more cruel with it, right? to the point where it's like, oh, Mulesguard was helping the mermaid and the other people. Oh, kill him. You know, it's just like you have no place for him here in this place. We were just waiting for an excuse to execute Mulesguard, and they did. Okay, so yeah, I would say Garling is more in line with Sakazuki. Okay, except really upping the slavery aspect and the racism aspect with it. You know, it's like, oh, you are the plebs of the lower realm. You know, now we can completely dominate you for good, you know. So to change it around with the worst scenarios here, okay, before we get to the final person, who is the shadow individual, Shanks's brother slash sister, you know, man marked by flames. Hold on. So Blackbeard rules pirate fantasy worlds, very chaotic, okay. If Eam rules Lord of the Rings, Sauron, you know, orc army invading everywhere, Demon King kind of shit. Akainu takes over, eventually becoming super authoritarian, iron fist, dogmatic military. Post-apocalypse kind of fantasy, that kind of thing, right? Garling takes over. Very oppressive, classist kind of shit, you know, where it's like literally like we are the god rulers and then you are the ants below us. You know, that's basically the way this is going, okay? Very bad, you know, results in all of these, okay? Then we get to the mystery person. A lot of people are saying Shanks' brother. I'm saying Shanks' hot sister because it's kind of a meme at this point. All right, fine, whatever. And then there's some other ideas that are out there. I want to bring up something, and it's been brought up a few times. I made a video about it. I just talked with somebody last night at Techo about this, actually. One of my fans came up and we talked about this. The individual that spoke to the Gorosei at Reverie, we thought it was Shanks that had the cloak and was just like, oh, I want to speak to you about a certain pirate. And the Gorosei are like, well, since it's you, we'll have a conversation with you, right? And we don't actually ever see that individual's left side of their face. Like, is there a scar there? We only see the right side of his face. We assume it's Shanks. But if Shanks used to be a celestial dragon and member of the Figarland family, and Garling had more than one child, Shanks has a twin brother. It's something that's been around for a while, but I just wanted to bring it up again because it seems to be the case there. Does that mean they're the man marked by flames? No, not really at all. That might not be the man marked by flames, okay? Or they could be. I feel like the man marked by flames wouldn't be a member of the Gods Knights, because ultimately it would have been the person that obtained the last road poneglyph from Fishman Island. Fishman Island was under control over Whitebeard at the time, so I don't understand how someone from the government could have stolen it. You feel like Whitebeard would have had a hand in removing that poneglyph from down there, unless we're learning about something like a great poneglyph heist that like Neptune or Whitebeard like nobody ever brought up, right? So I feel like it was moved by Whitebeard, so somebody allied with him is the man marked by flames. So this might not even be that individual, but a lot of people are, because every time a new character is introduced in One Piece now, it's man marked by flames, you know, so I'm a little bit hesitant to say it is, but we can't rule it out, right? And given the fact that the sword they're wielding looks a lot like Shanks' sword Griffin and also looks a lot like Garling's blade, then perhaps, you know, related to the Figarland family. We also have to start filling out the Gods Knights and the different families that make up the 20 families of Marijois to really end it out there, okay? So putting aside the Shanks' hot sister thing, I think Shanks' twin, that would be a good one. And especially if that was the individual that spoke with the Gorosei. Because remember, the way the Gorosei spoke about it were like, hey, we're really busy with Reverie right now. We usually cannot take meetings. But if it's you, a member of the Figarland family, and a member of the Gods Knights, and Garling's son, we'll make an exception for you. Now, it also makes sense if it was in fact Shanks, because it's like, hey, we'll make an exception for you. But then again, a member of the Yonko, a pirate, being at Marijois, that's a really, really, really big deal. Granted, out of all of the Yonko, it makes sense that the Gorosei, if they were going to see anybody, they would see Shanks. Not only for the fact that he's the most reasonable out of all of the Gorosei, not the Gorosei, out of the Yonko at the time. If it was Kaido, Big Mom, Blackbeard, or Shanks, the one the Gorosei might be able to reason with is Shanks. But also, if he is connected to the Figarland family, then that's like, hey, well, he does technically have royal blood in him. all right, we'll meet with him. So you could, Oda is a genius no matter what direction he goes with this, but if he does the twin brother angle, even though the twin brother thing is a trope, it's been used a lot, like this character had a mysterious twin we didn't know about. In this instance, I think it was played masterfully, all right? So there's that. And of course, we don't know much about this individual at all. And so saying what would happen if they found the One Piece, I cannot say. However, it might be a thing where like Shanks' twin brother is evil, or perhaps Shanks was the evil twin, and this guy was the good twin. Ooh, you know, the good twin is a Tenryubito, the bad twin is a pirate. I don't think so. I don't think Shanks is evil. I never really bought into the whole Shanks is evil thing. Maybe a little bit more, he can be a little bit more devious. He can be a little bit more bloodthirsty if he has to be, certainly. But evil, I wouldn't say. Anyway, that's the video. Let me know down below what you feel about each of these candidates for finding the One Piece. If there's more people beyond this, and hey, even if there are, I mean, these are the 12 Oda chose to draw first. So it brings up something there. Or maybe this is just a thing where Oda's just screwing us around, and he's just like, yeah, I'm just going to draw a bunch of people. Yeah, the Yonko, Sakazuki, Dragon, Sabo, yeah, just some people. Kuzan, why not? I'll let people, like, red herrings and stuff. I'm just going to throw them here. Not a big deal. All right, end of chapter. Let me know down below, and yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. And once again, thanks if you were there at Techo, and I'll get the video of that game show panel up sometime this week. Thanks for watching, everybody. Teching, signing out.